She's just a girl, but she's on fire.
Hi, Ali Alvarez here, and today in our 30-day millionaire mindset expansion, I want to talk about values and what that means and how we can really use values and knowledge of our what's really important to us to help us move through blocks in our life. Um, Values is something that we base decisions on all the time. We sort of work with them under the radar a lot. And when we can kind of bring them up to the consciousness into our field of awareness, we can actually use that information to make bigger decisions and to step in to a larger aspect of our own life. So I'm going to take you through an exercise to get clear on your values. And this is something that kind of took me a long time to appreciate the value of values, essentially, and really how important of a role they play in our life and our decision making. And how sometimes when we are making big choices and big decisions in our life, if we can get clear on what we value, we can move into that decision with more confidence and more success on the tail end of that. So John Demartini has a really great value exercise where he goes through and he lists a bunch of questions. And I extracted a few of his questions to guide you through getting clear and getting to know your own values today. So we're gonna break this down. I'm gonna throw out these questions to you. So what I want you to do is you can go ahead and pause the video as you need to take the time to answer the questions, and also to begin with to grab a piece of paper and a pen, because today we're gonna work. It's good work, and it's work that's going to help mine out the intelligence out of your mind and move you forward. So go ahead and pause this as you need to and grab a pen and a notebook. And then when you have your pen and notebook, what I want you to do is just sort of like right at the top, you can write the date. Sometimes dates are good to put on notes like this, because this is probably something that you're going to want to reference in the future. And when you sort of look back and go, because our values can change. And this is where you sit today. This is what you value today as we start to excavate this process. So the first question would be, I want you to take a moment and get quiet, and I want you to look around your personal space and answer the question of, how do you fill your personal space? What do you surround yourself with? The next question, how do you spend your time? The next question connected to that, part 2, is how would you like to spend your time if you could choose? How do you spend your money? How would you like to spend your money? So part 2 of that question. You might consider, is some of your money going to places that you really don't want it to go to? And if you had more than enough resources coming in, and you wanted to use your money in a certain way that you're currently not able to, what would you like to do with that? If you had more money power, would you buy a baseball team? Would you donate, build a school? What do you think about the most? What's a predominant thought that you carry, that you sort of try to toss around in your brain? Could be solving a problem, could be something that you want to create or do, something you want to have. Maybe it's something you want to learn. Maybe it's an educational thing. What are your gifts? So if you were to sit down and say, with yourself and think about what is the best thing that you offer the world. And what's amazing to me when you think about the billions of people on the planet is that everyone has unique gifts. And when you are able to step in and share those gifts and step into your authentic voice, that can make your life richer in many ways. Your gifts could actually be, I know one of my mentors, one of his gifts is to help others have more fun in life. And that's, that's something we don't always think about as a gift, but it is. The gift could be teaching, healing, service. What 3 things would you like to create in your future? Don't overthink these questions. Go quick. See if you can answer them quickly. If you have to stop the video, you have to stop. But sometimes you want to trip past the ego and answer as fast as you can. You get a little more access to the subconscious when you do it that way. So I'm going to repeat that question. What 3 things would you like to create in your future? They can be things. They can be time. It can be travel. It can be relationships. What is your unrealized dream? What have you always wanted to do your entire life and maybe did not complete that project yet in this lifetime? And what 3 steps might take you closer to actually completing that? Remove the thoughts of this is impossible because I'm 60-something and I can no longer dance or whatever it could be. You can, if you feel that the dream that you've had, that you sort of tucked away, is no longer possible because of limitations, self-imposed limitations of age or money or time, there are ways to bring that dream back up and to reestablish it in your world, perhaps differently than when you first imagined it, but it's not impossible. So I actually really want you to pull the dream out of the drawer, the one that you've been hiding. You know what I'm talking about. And this is a really great platform to start to ask yourself the question, okay, how do I bring this dream back? And maybe not at the level that we imagined. Maybe it's not that you're going to be a famous ballerina, but what is the way that you can bring it back into your life for the simple reason of bringing yourself joy? Because that's what your soul and your spirit wants to do. I'll tell you a little example or a story around this. There was a time in my life, my theater acting days, when I was studying some dance. And I remember going into the dressing room, and there was an 80-year-old ballerina. I'm sure she never graced, Juilliard stages or Lincoln Center, but the joy on her face and the energy of who she was just claiming her dance. She's like, I'm 80, I'm dancing, I don't care. And I loved that, and sort of seeing, being in the presence of her was pretty spectacular. So I want you to think about your dream in relationship to removing your mental, dense, human limitations that we put on our dreams. And I want you to start to think beyond that. How do you make it happen, but on perhaps a different level than, again, how you first thought it might happen? This is something that we'll talk about again deeper on another video, going into our dreams. It's a big one. Very last question for you is, what inspires you? You might hear Sounds like howler monkeys in the back. It's my kids downstairs. Saturday morning. No kindergarten today. Okay, so now what I want you to do is you're going to take a little time with this list. You can add to it. What happens when we start to write down and excavate? And if writing down your ideas and your thoughts is a new thing for you, sometimes we can feel stagnant. So feel free to come back and do this exercise again and do it multiple times, because you'll find that you pull things up in layers. And the other thing that happens is that if there's questions you get stumped on, you're like, I have no answer, I have no idea. That answer is just buried. It's buried under the junk of you. So the full 30-day series that I'm taking you through, which is probably going to be more than 30 days, just to let you know, I guess I'm just going to keep going. But the idea is that we're going to start clearing out some of the stuff that's in your way and allowing you to see you more clearly. And one of the things you'll find, what happens is when you start to write down and work with yourself and your own ideas, is that, again, like I said, sometimes when we start to write things down, we don't have the answers, we're really stuck. But you might find that when you're in the shower, or you're washing dishes, water is a conduit for bringing up our ideas out of the unconscious mind, just by the way, FYI. And so just pay attention to those quiet moments over the next few weeks after doing an exercise like this, that more answers will come. And be ready to go, that's another one, that's another value, or another, piece of this, and go write it down. So then what you're going to do is you're going to review all of your answers, and I want you to start extracting what are some of the values that you've written down, what are some of the things that you hold dear in your life. I had mentioned some of the values I have, and I want you to kind of boil it down to the top 5. We want to kind of work with the top 5. So like some of my top 5, health is pretty much top of my list, because if you don't have health, you kind of have nothing. Then love, personal relationships, and having a healthy family around me, healthy, happy family. Freedom is a really, really big one, being able to have mastery over my own time and call the shots of my own life. And financial prosperity and abundance is another one for me. There's another one I'm not remembering, but those are, 4 examples. You can even Google values online. People have lots of lists. Independence is one, which is kind of like freedom, right? So there's a lot of different words that can spark out really getting healing. Healing and health is a really big one for me. Education is also probably one of my top 5. So start to get really clear on, this is really a snapshot of who you are. And then what you want to do when you kind of get clear is you want to number them from the very top. What is the most important to you is number 1, and then go down the list. I was recently at an event, in a Power Network event, and those events have always, I always bring back some personal breakthrough that moves my life forward and moves my business forward in a pretty profound way. And the last event I went to, there was a speaker, and she was looking at time management in conjunction with her values. And that was really an aha moment for me, because I was really struggling with some aspects of my business and my life. And when she was showing how she organized her life, her personal life and her business life, as an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom, and she flipped some things around. And, it wasn't just me, it was many other, like, working from home moms in the audience were all like, because, you're trying to juggle the thing with your family and also build something from home to create income. And when she was showing us how she said, I put this first. And I was like, oh, right. And I took her ideas home, and I started to flip those things around. And it made a really big difference in how and what I was actually able to accomplish. I actually made me more productive. And sometimes we make decisions based on, well, I don't think I should do that first, right? Because I have to get my work done. But sometimes sometimes it is a matter of I have to put my health first. I have to give myself my yoga practice so that I feel good in my own skin, so that if I feel good in my own skin, I can approach my children from a place of peace and kindness, and then I can approach my business from a place of mental clarity. That's kind of one example. I want to give you another example from a book that I really love, a book that's made a difference in my life. If it's written by a minister, a female minister, Catherine Ponder, and it's called The Prospering Power of Prayer. So if that's, wigs anybody out, just plug your ears. We're going to talk about prayer for a minute. So anyway, she's written a lot of really amazing books. She was actually studied business and spirituality at the same time. I love that combination. It's just kind of my thing too. So she talks about the use of prayer to create manifestation and to move your life forward when it feels stuck. And she was telling the story of a man who was grappling with unemployment, and that he was struggling to get work, and he felt poor. His spirit felt poor, and he had this sort of dreary old overcoat. And he didn't have money to work with because he had been unemployed for a long time, but he took a risk, he borrowed some money, and he went out and bought a new coat. Because he needed to lift the spirit of who he was so that he could go out into the world and create prosperity for himself. Uh-oh, we have a crisis. What happened? Oh, so sad. So sad. So, say hello. So, this gentleman, he takes that risk, he takes that leap of faith, and what he's kind of doing, he's actually flipping his values. He's stepping out of the place of fear, which is kind of what we do sometimes, and we make decisions not based on our values. We're making decisions based in fear. So if we can get clear and know what our values are, we can step up and make decisions from our higher selves. Does that make sense? So essentially, he said, I'm not going to step out into the world feeling poor. I'm going to step out into the world feeling new, feeling valuable, and that I am worth something. And that little mental shift, and sometimes it takes something physical like going out and buying a coat to make yourself feel more worthy, allowed him to get a job like that. And that's really powerful. So sometimes if we're working to manifest, working to bring something into our life, what we can do is we can go back into our list of values and say, what value am I not putting on the table? What am I not being from or living from in this moment that's sort of holding me back? So that's one of the ways we can use values to step forward into our future in a more powerful way. So I want to leave you with one more thought about this, is that sometimes we step into entrepreneurship, or many times people will step into entrepreneurship because of personal values, because they are choosing the new overcoat. They're saying, I want to create a life that belongs to me. I want to reclaim my future and build my future, not the asset of an employer or a boss. And so it can be a powerful action of stepping in and saying, this is what I value in life, and I want to create a life based around my values. And I think that is a big backbone of entrepreneurship, because to be an entrepreneur is stepping into your own power and holding that and being able to walk forward in the face of adversity, walk forward in the face of people telling you no, walking forward in the face of things not looking always like they're going to work out, and to hold faith and hold that dream in your hand and say, I'm going to create this vision that I see in my mind. I'm going to make this vision into a reality. And sometimes we do that when there's no evidence of that reality showing up at all. And we have to walk through that little dark tunnel and we feel like we're alone, and we have to keep forging forward. And when we do that, we are rewarded. And sometimes the biggest reward is connection to ourself and getting to know ourselves on a much deeper level and valuing ourselves, putting value on who we are. So I leave that with you. get to know your values and step into your values and make your decisions in life based upon your values, you will find that it really, really is powerful, very powerful thing to do. Have a great one. Please leave comments below, and there's a link below this video. Go ahead and click on it, and you can get started with us in Empower Network, and you can step into the amazing team that I'm a part of. We have 2 amazing websites that brainchilds of many of the leaders of our BTC and Team Shine have put together. So it's tons of information, especially if you're looking at stepping onto the entrepreneurial pathway. This will give you tons of people support, information support, education support, tons and tons of resources that can make your journey absolutely amazing. So click the link below, get started with us today, and I look forward to working with you on a much deeper level. Have a great one. Bye.